Okay, so you know you're here because you love to just get right into the good stuff, right? Like straight to the heart of a story. That's what we do here at the Deep Dive, and today we're diving deep into the connection between the Doza crew and the Nova crew.
It is quite the web. We've got logbook fragments, we've got YouTube analysis videos that dig into those logbooks. We've even got song lyrics from the Doza crew, excerpts from Graphpaste and Das Ende der Welt, a short story analysis of all of that, and wait, there's more. We have a fragmented secret message.
A secret message. And it's like we have all of these puzzle pieces, but they're from different dimensions and realities, but we're going to try to put them together today and figure out how these two crews are connected and what binds them. And along the way, we're going to be looking for contradictions because those are the fun parts that sometimes lead us to a deeper truth.
Okay, so where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with the very first mentions, the breadcrumbs, the hints.
Yeah, let's try and figure out what exactly is going on and how they're connected.
Okay, so we have logbook, hashtag 494, fragment P from the Doza crew, and it just drops us right into this conversation between GRD and Smut on Regulus 5, which they themselves call a place of contradictions.
A place of contradictions, huh? Interesting.
And it's like deep philosophical, existential stuff mixed with forgetting to manage the gravity system, which is, a classic blunder.
Yeah, we've all been there. But I'm intrigued by this place of contradictions idea.
Yeah, and this whole log just has this energy of searching for meaning in this chaotic universe.
Well, and what's really fascinating is that there's this YouTube analysis video that breaks down a different logbook entry, hashtag 76386. And it kind of echoes those same vibes. It talks about a philosophical perspective, a kind of introspection, and mentions this place called Regal 5.
Regal 5.
Yeah, and it describes it as chaotic, full of contradictions. So it seems likely that Regal 5 is just their way of saying Regulus 5, like a shortened version or maybe a slight mistranslation.
That's interesting. So we've got these two separate sources, both hinting at the same kind of energy surrounding this Regulus 5 place. Okay, so maybe we're starting to see some overlap here, but here's where things get really, really interesting. In NVCRW logbook, hashtag 001, which is part of the Graphpace and this ended their story, we find out that GRD, our gravity challenge philosopher, is actually Florian.
Florian.
Yeah, Florian, a member of the Nova crew.
Wait a second. So GRD from the Doza crew is Florian from the Nova crew. This is a huge connection. This could mean that the Doza crew and the Nova crew are not separate entities after all.
Exactly. Like maybe they share some history or there was a big transition between these groups. But okay, we've got Florian, a.k.a. GRD, as our bridge, and they both have this philosophical experience on Regulus 5. But as we keep digging, the picture of Regulus 5 gets so weird. It's not just contradictions. It's like the planet is changing depending on who's looking at it.
Yeah, in logbook hashtag 494 in that YouTube analysis, Regulus 5 is just this backdrop for philosophical pondering, like a neutral space, you know?
Right. But then we get to Regulus Prelude from the Doza crew, and the mood completely changes. It's dark. It's menacing. We're suddenly in orbit around Regulus, and the Doza crew are witnesses of primal violence.
Witnesses of primal violence. Wow. Okay, so it's not a peaceful place anymore. Something really bad has happened or is happening.
Exactly. So what was it? And did that event, whatever it was, shape their later philosophical reflections on the planet?
It's possible. And it gets even creepier with Regulus Rift. Regulus is now a terrifying place with crazy strong winds and this portal, a hole without reason, that swallows hope.
Oh, man. That's dark.
Yeah, and the crew is stranded on Regulus V, probably just another way of saying Regulus 5, and they're in deep trouble. They're talking about unholy winds and a curse.
A curse. So different from the philosophical vibes we were getting before.
Right. It's like a completely different planet. It makes you wonder, what could have happened to change their view of Regulus 5 so drastically?
That's a good question. And then there's Regulus Review, which is totally different again. This time, Regulus 5 is a paradise. Alien suns, green light, floating gardens, singing plants, vibrant colors.
A paradise. Wow, the pendulum really swings with this place, doesn't it?
It does. But even in paradise, there are cracks. The lyrics talk about an escalation in green dreams, and then an earthquake, energy discharge, prism showers, and the plants start mutating under violet starlight.
Hold on, violet starlight. I thought it was green before.
Yeah, it's strange, right? Maybe it means different times or even different dimensions.
It could be. And the song ends in silence, which is, kind of unsettling.
Yeah, it's very unsettling. And then there's the YouTube analysis of Regulus Review. It talks about this distant planet full of light and the five common who break through.
The five common.
Yeah, it's a weird term. It also mentions technical problems and these escalations of dreams of an empty one, like something isn't quite right under the surface.
Yeah, definitely creepy. And then in NVCRW logbook, #001, the graph paste story, we see the Nova crew arriving on Regulus 5 after their world is destroyed. They come through a wormhole, and they're seen as heroes in this parallel dimension, and Florian finds Luna.
So it's a place of salvation for them.
It seems like it. They escaped a dying world and ended up in a paradise. At least that's how it appears at first.
Yeah, which makes the next part even crazier, because now we have to talk about the downfall and this terrifying secret message.
Buckle up, it's about to get real.
Okay, so just to recap the Graph Paste story, the Nova crew is trying to stop Graph Paste from blowing up the sun. Florian, who is, a bit high at the time, messes up the programming of the bomb, and it leads to their world being destroyed.
Oh man, high stakes and high mistakes. Classic combo.
And then, out of the chaos, a wormhole opens. And that's how they end up on Regulus 5 in that parallel dimension.
It's a happy ending.
Right. Florian's reunited with Luna. They're safe.
Right, but hold on, we have the secret message that turns everything upside down?
The secret message. Yeah, like a digital mayday call from the void. And they're freaking out. They're begging whoever finds it to read their logbook. They're talking about something called the mainframe.
The mainframe.
Yeah, and then it gets even more intense. They're saying things like, oh no, we can't make it, help us, everything's different here. It's terrifying.
This is heavy stuff. The paradise they thought they found is not what it seems.
And the message gets worse.
Yeah.
They're warning us not to trust what we see. Luna, don't trust. GRD and Luna, catastrophe, all illusion. Regulus 5 is a trap.
Whoa. So even Luna is part of the deception, or maybe a victim herself. It's a complete 180 from the happy reunion.
And then a growling sound starts in the background, and their last words are all garbled. The mainframe.life. Kyrem. The crew's got this. Doza Odawa. The mainframe. And that's it. The message just ends.
Oh, wow. That gives me chills. So we've got all these conflicting versions of Regulus 5, a place for thinking, a violent battlefield, a paradise, and now a trap.
It's like Regulus 5 is either incredibly complex, or we're being tricked, or maybe the characters are just unreliable because of all the, mind-altering substances. And you mentioned that thing about the starlight in Regulus Review changing from green to violet.
Yeah, that was weird, right? Maybe a shift in reality, a dimensional jump, or something even weirder. We just don't know.
And don't forget about the 5 common from the YouTube analysis.
So yeah, the 5 common. Could that be Florian, Karina, Sonja, and Christian, plus one more person?
Possibly.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that the heroes in this story are constantly messed up on drugs. Like, Florian's mistake with the bomb happened because he was high. It makes you wonder, can we even trust what they're seeing?
Yeah, it's all very trippy and unreliable. And what about this mainframe thing? It comes out of nowhere. But in that message, it sounds like it's the key to everything.
Yeah, like some kind of controlling force or maybe even an entity. And those weird phrases, Kyrem and Doza Oda, what do they even mean? I have no idea. It's all very mysterious. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and look at the Doza crew's perspective from their other songs.
Right, because there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. Some of them are pretty straightforward, like Der Graf, which is all about anger and rebellion against Graph Paste.
Classic anti-establishment anthem.
Exactly. And then there's Penglitz-Gun Achechachui, which feels more like a celebration of unity and strength.
The power of music to bring people together. But there are some deeper cuts that connect to this whole mystery.
Like Tyran in Hand. It tells the story of Graph Paste's rule, the apocalypse, and the Nova crew, or Catastrophe Commando, trying to save the world. And it specifically mentions Florian's weed, Karina's mushrooms, Sonja's veganism, and Christian being a cyborg.
It's like the song is confirming their identities across different narratives.
Right. And Die Welt ist perfekt paints this really bleak picture of the world under Graph Paste. But it ends with a little bit of hope, saying that the spirit of the Doza crew lives on.
Interesting. Could that spirit be connected to the warnings we hear in the secret message?
Maybe. And then there's Catastrophe Commando, which celebrates our 4 heroes, and Sternenbrand, which tells the story of their battle against Graph Paste and the sun exploding.
Epic. So we've got their origin story, their tragic downfall, and then that weird escape through the wormhole.
Yeah, and then there's Tabulasi, which is just completely bonkers. It's like pure chaos and doesn't really connect to the main story.
Haha, yeah, Tabulathi is a wild ride. It's like a fever dream.
Maybe it's symbolic of their descent into madness or something. And lastly, there's Lunatic.
Ah, yes, Lunatic. The song that mirrors the seemingly happy ending from the Graph Paste story. Florian's mistake, the wormhole, the arrival on Regulus 5, and his reunion with Luna.
But we know from that secret message that something is terribly wrong with that picture. And thanks to your expertise, we now know that that chilling message, the plea to read the logbook, the warning about Luna, and the mention of the mainframe was sent by Karina and Sanja right before they were eingelesen worden sind by the mainframe.
It adds a whole new level of urgency and tragedy, doesn't it? Eingelesen and worden sind, it basically means they were scanned in, absorbed by the mainframe. They were calling for help right before they were erased or assimilated or whatever happened to them.
It's heartbreaking. So here's the big question for you, listener. Could all of these stories, these songs, these logbook entries be glimpses into different timelines, alternate realities, or even stages of a bigger, more terrifying game orchestrated by this mainframe?
It's a mind-blowing possibility. What if that idyllic Regulus 5, the paradise they thought they found, is actually a carefully crafted illusion, a trap designed to lure them in?
And if their paradise is a lie, what does that mean for Florian and the others? Are they living in a dream world on the verge of being eingelesen themselves?
It's a chilling thought. So, listener, go back to those source materials, read them again, listen to the songs, and ask yourself, what if the happy ending is just the beginning of the nightmare?
That's a great point. We've only scratched the surface here. There's so much more to uncover.
And until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, keep diving deep.
And that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening.